Hello, everybody, this is Purge. How are you guys doing? I am back from Blizzcon. I just got back today. It is Sunday. It was a 2-day event. It was on Friday and Saturday, and I had a really good time. And I just wanted to talk to you guys about a couple of my thoughts about the stuff that I played, and just give you updates of what I did, because I figure you might be interested. So, if you don't know what BlizzCon is, it's a mostly annual convention that Blizzard runs. It's ran by Blizzard employees, and they do a really good job. It's at the Anaheim Convention Center, which is pretty close to my house, so I decided to go. I think the tickets are about $150, but I think it was pretty worth it. The three games that I went to spectate and look into were Hearthstone, which I now play sometimes, and StarCraft 2 tournament finals was there for WCS, and also their new MOBA light game is coming out, and it's called Heroes of the Storm. It is the same acronym as Heart of the Storm, which is a bit of a bad mistake, but whatever. So I wanted to give you my impression on Heroes of the Storm, and tell you guys a couple stories and things that happened over the weekend. So, Here's the Storm has been remade multiple times in the last couple years because they weren't quite happy with how it turned out. So, as time has continued, the game keeps getting remade. So I played the game around 7 to 8 times. I think the first day, morning on Friday, we were able to go through the line many times because it was the opening ceremony, and almost all the convention attendees were either not at BlizzCon yet, or they were in the hall watching all of the big announcements and stuff that weren't that important. So we basically got to go through the line a bunch of times, and we played about 5 games with a 5 stack, and we won every game very easily. It's pretty simple. The best moment was when we got in line behind this other 5 stack, and it was PvP, so it was people versus other people, which was really good. If it was against bots, I wouldn't have had as much fun, but they're like, oh yeah, we're pretty good, we haven't lost yet, so I mean, I guess you could challenge us if you want. They're kind of like lightly shit talking, basically nothing too extreme, but we ended up playing them, and everybody was always positioned seats across from each other. So during the middle of the game, I was playing with Hotbid and Heyoka and 2 other people that I didn't know very well, a Team Liquid guy and another guy that I can't remember what he does, but during the game, it was slightly competitive. We were trying harder, and just start hearing somebody yelling like, "Go, go, 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 go! Get the kill! Jump on this guy! Back up, back up!" You know, just stuff like that. Like they're playing a finals of some huge tournament. They were really into it, and I thought it was one of my teammates. I was like, "Oh wow, they just really want to win this game because there's a lot on the line." Well, we ended up winning the game pretty easily. It wasn't difficult at all, I don't believe. We probably barely died, and we snowballed and all this stuff. And then I found out afterwards it was actually the other guys getting all hyped about it, and we just crushed their dreams. And they asked one of our teammates, they're like, have you guys played before? And they lied and said no. So those guys, we just like crushed their enjoyment for the day, and I'm sure they probably went home after that, and probably just like took the closest flight that they could get back to home. So probably just left the rest of BlizzCon. I would be really surprised if they're still there. So that was really fun. About the game itself, I thought about it a lot over the weekend, and let me give you some specifics about the game if you haven't heard about it yet. Number 1, there's no last hitting at all. 0 last hitting. There's global shared EXP. That means you are always the same level as your ally. And number 3, there are no items. And this might be really confusing to you, but let me explain my thoughts on it. Number 1, if you're going to make a new game like Dota or League of Legends, there's no purpose to make them exactly like them. Almost never. You could look at a game like, is Injustice? No, that's a fighting game. That's like the DC fighting game. Infinite Crisis. Infinite Crisis is a game that is pretty much an exact clone of League of Legends, except they use DC heroes in it. So if you're into DC heroes and you like League of Legends, this game is okay for you. But that's like a very small subset of a group of people that's going to want to play the game. What about like all the people that might just like playing League of Legends? Like League is always going to be bigger, for example. So there's no point to make a game exactly like Dota or exactly like League unless it has something that offsets it, like Infinite Crisis does, where it's like, okay, I want to play a DC game. So with that in mind, this is why they removed last hitting, and this is why they don't have items. So what it basically pulls down to is, because there's no last hitting and pushing is very difficult when you're low level anyways, the game becomes a constant 5v5 over objectives. So this means one of the game modes would be like collect gold coins and give them this ghost pirate, and then he'll shoot a cannon that will blow up towers and like push really hard. So then you not only have 5v5 and share EXP, it becomes 5v5 around these coins. So instead of just like grouping in the middle and constantly fighting, it's more like sometimes people go over here, and do other various things. And you might be like, well, this is stupid. There's no farming and last hitting. You just get level ups basically in EXP. There's no gold to be gained. The way level ups work, by the way, you start with all of your 3 basic abilities at level 1. And as you level up, they scale higher slowly. just by natural progression. And every couple levels, you get like a more specified ability level up that you get to choose. It's like, do you want plus 30 attack damage? Do you want 15% ability power? Do you want 2 mana per second regen or something like that? And then as it scales up another 3 levels, it gets better. It could be something like, oh, do you want 5% extra attack speed every hit up to 25%? Or do you want 10 HP regen per second and 300 HP, or do you want this? And then as it goes higher, sometimes you'll get an ability. I got one that when I was a tank hero, and it was like regen 20% of your HP in 10 seconds. And I was like, all right, I'll grab that. And then it would go hockey to 1 or something. So then it'd have a new ability. And then eventually you get your ultimate at level 10, and at your ultimate you get to choose between 2 abilities. And every hero has 2 abilities for his ultimate. I only played like 6, 7 heroes, so I don't know all of the stuff, but you might be, again, saying like no last hitting, there's not going to be competitive, but and I completely agree. I actually don't think the game as it stands will be competitive at all. I don't think it's possible because the abilities are very similar to League abilities in the sense that they are skill shots, cones, low cooldown. You don't have to worry about mana that much, and the stun and slow durations are very low, which in this situation I think is okay. I guess I'll explain that now, just so I don't get off my train of thought. But if you're constantly 5-manning and everybody had abilities like Dota's abilities would be too powerful. I honestly think that in constant 5-man at level 1. It almost never happens in Dota because if you 5-man at level 1, then there's all this EXP that's on the map that you're losing, which is going to result in you losing the game. So, but if Dota was constantly a 5-man game and you have 3 heroes that have 1.5 second stuns, one character is going to die guaranteed. And that could be really frustrating, I think, for any levels of skill. It's like a very small mistake and you instantly die. This is okay for Dota because if you roam and gank, you want that kill power so that you can gank other lanes sometimes and secure kills and therefore get EXP and gold or whatever. I think it has a trade-off. It's like you go gank, you could be farming somewhere else. So if it doesn't work based on your skill level, then it's a bad thing. So basically, the disables are low. I think that's fine for this circumstance, and the game is very 5-man and very objective based. There is not any last hitting, so mechanically, using your abilities is very simple because they're spammable and low duration. There's no last hitting, so you don't have to practice last hitting, and mostly it's just a lot of team fighting. And maybe some teamwork and maybe some tricks and things like that you could maybe do, but largely it's just team fighting and objectives. And it's honestly fun to play, and that's really how I feel about it. I honestly do not see the game being competitively viable. Again, there's no last hitting. It's very, very simple to use your skills, and at some point, the skill tree is really limited. Every 3 levels, you get a choice of 3 things, and it's so quickly going to be worked out exactly what is the best build for every single class. So I have no expectations of the game being competitively viable, but I can completely see the game being popular. I would play this with friends. I see nothing wrong with it. And most importantly about it, it's just like Dire Tide, and that's exactly what the game is. Dire Tide is a game that has very little last hitting. You rarely last hit in Dire Tide. If you guys haven't played Dire Tide before, you basically collect candy from the ground. You'll be able to play it soon, and then you put them in the pumpkins, and then everybody on your team gets gold and experience for the candy being turned in. That means that even without sitting in lane and last hitting or jungling, you will be getting EXP and gold. So in some ways, you can ignore the last hitting element. This is the same as Heroes of the Storm. And from there, it's very objective based. You collect candy around the map. You're going to be fighting opponents who are trying to give candy, and it becomes a battle from the start of the game till the end of the game, which is exactly what Dire Tide was. That's why Undyne was really popular, and any other hero that's really strong really. Carries were not very good in Dire Tide because they take longer to farm up, and they take longer to be useful, whereas early game heroes can constantly fight from level 1 and still be useful. So it's basically Dire Tide, or it's a custom game that is focused around high action, maybe not the highest competitive level, but it's something fun that you could do. So for that reason, I don't see it at all threatening Dota 2 in terms of player base. The only thing it would threaten in Dota 2 is players who maybe don't actually like playing Dota that much and want something more casual. So I think it could offset a eventual Dota 2 casual custom game player. So eventually, if custom games hit Dota 2, we'll probably see some of our player base focus on Dota 2 custom games and play less Dota. And those are the players that are going to be vulnerable to going to play Heroes of the Storm instead. I think it could also be vulnerable for a similar player base in League of Legends, because League of Legends players, of course, are on average more casual. So I could see League players going to play Heroes of the Storm. And just to clarify one more time, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing that there's no last hitting, even from a mechanics standpoint, because it cuts down the part of the game that is passive. Sometimes laning is very high action, but generally it's more of like a slow build up, getting to nice items where you can do fun things. So I wouldn't always say, like, I enjoy last hitting personally, and I think sometimes it's very enjoyable, but if you just want to jump into a game and fight, the laning stage, the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game is not for you, basically. So if you just want to hop into a game and play for 15 minutes and stomp people, or have a competitive match but not have to focus as much on last hitting, or maybe not as much strategy, just a lot of fighting, then it might be the game for you. So that's my thoughts about it. I think Heroes of the Storm is honestly a fun game. It won't be competitively viable unless they change a lot until it comes out, which could be a year or 2 years in the future. I really don't know. Maybe 1 year. Who knows? But that was pretty cool. So that's basically everything I want to say about Heroes of the Storm. I think it was a nice time. That's about it. I played Hearthstone Arena while I was there. I played twice. The first, if you lost once, you got kicked out. It was a free arena, though, against everybody there. First time I went 1-1, and the second time I went 7-1, and I knocked out one of our friends who was 1 win away from getting 9-1, which he would have gotten a figurine. So I knocked him out from getting 9-1, and I lost on my next round against this guy that got really lucky with a mind control on my strong creature, and then I never got a board clearing card somehow, and he ended up winning the game. Some warrior guy. So I lost at 7 wins. But if he wouldn't have gotten lucky on the mind control, I think I could have just beaten him, and I would have gone to 8, and then pretty good chance of getting the 9th win, but not guaranteed, of course. So I got a CD of it because I got over 5 wins, so it was still pretty good. But I wanted 9. I don't even want the figurine anyway, so it's probably for the best that it didn't happen. And other than that, I watched the WCS finals. That was really fun. And then I went to a Twitch party last night, which is super fun because I got to see all of my friends that I haven't seen since the last StarCraft event, which is probably Anaheim, I guess, which is a couple of months ago. And then we've got MLG Columbus coming up soon, which I'm excited about as well. I love Twitch parties so much. It's so much fun. I know a lot of Twitch streamers and personalities and stuff now, so I always have a really nice time. It's like my one time in 3 months to be social. Oh yeah, and this girl hit on me because she honestly thought I was Naniwa, Alliance Naniwa. He's a famous StarCraft 2 player from Sweden. I kind of look like him, so I understand, but I showed her my license and everything, and she was really adamant that I was Naniwa. I was like, can't you tell by my accent? I don't have a Swedish. She was American, so surely she could tell accents, but it was the most mind-blowing thing. I thought for sure halfway through she was just playing around. She was like, okay. She thought mentally all right, he convinced me that he's not Naniwa, therefore I'm just going to pretend like he is, and then we can make jokes about that. I thought she metagamed me, but she didn't. Maybe she triple metagamed me, not completely sure, but yeah, she was really adamant about that, so that was kind of funny. So I think that's about it. I'll probably get back to making videos tomorrow. Sorry I don't have anything Dota related today, but I literally got back to the house about 2 o'clock. And I am just trying to decompress. I didn't sleep a whole bunch this weekend because we would get back to the hotel room at 1, and then we'd wake up at 9 or something, which isn't a full night's sleep. But I didn't sleep very good the first night, and then been tired because I've actually been not sitting in a chair for 16 hours a day. So I had to walk places and stand most of the day. So I'm still pretty pooped. But tomorrow I'm sure I'll get back to Dota. So sorry I keep bumping the mic. Maybe I'll stream tomorrow. No guarantees, but we'll see how I feel tomorrow. And I think that's about it. So I hope you guys are excited for Dire Tide soon. And yeah. Try not to hate on Heroes of the Storm too much, or Storm. I mean, the last hitting thing is really a very moot point. I enjoyed the game, and I'm sure you guys will too. So I think that's about it. All right, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.